right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful edition of Level Up Mental Health. I'm trying to figure out why my camera is close to me, but we're doing all right. So, welcome to another video here. We got some good topics to discuss here tonight. The first is going to be related to dysfunctional families. So, we'll go through this. If you're watching this on the stream, the next one we have will be communication, so that'll be a good one to review. But otherwise, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, Level Up Mental Health Gaming on there as we continue to do this. Now, a couple notes. I know it's been a while since I've dove into Psychonauts. I'm hoping to do that. I said that last week. I'm hoping to do that this week. Just exhausting. The weeks are exhausting. So I'm hoping we'll get there. But at least I'm trying to bring the resources here, which I think is the most important thing. So let's get into them. All right, so here we are. We're at the dysfunctional families. So the topic here is going to be reviewing different, essentially dysfunctional patterns related to families. Being able to kind of think about where you feel your family may be, right? And I think what's important is if we're able to understand these particular patterns, we can start to kind of ask the questions of how do we feel these patterns may have affected us, right? The way that we think of things, the way that we behave with certain things, and is there any solutions to help us to either heal or resolve the patterns that we've experienced here, right? So we're going to go through them. We'll be able to identify it. And as you're going through this, again, be able to think about how maybe some of these have impacted you, right? So, dysfunctional families have dysfunctional patterns, right? That's kind of a one and done sort of thing, you know. But the one thing to kind of think about too before you get into dysfunctional families, think about what it means for a functional family, right? Like, what are some traits or characteristics that you can think of that may resort to a family that has functional patterns, right? Maybe there's healthy communication, maybe there's honesty, obviously respect, love, care, support, and even kind of maybe more so idiosyncratic things in that sense, right? Kind of little niche family traditions in that sense that everyone's involved. Things like that really contribute to that functional pattern that you're looking for, all right? So let's take a dive and look at what are some dysfunctional patterns in dysfunctional families. First one here, family secrets. People pretend, no one talks. Instead, they bear the wrongs and quietly do everything to keep up the untarnished family image. Family shame. Everyone feels embarrassed, defective. People feel responsible for others' actions. That can be very impactful too, the shame aspect. I can't remember. I think we did the topic on guilt and shame here. If not, definitely check it out. But it really is detrimental to an individual where they kind of feel useless in that, right? Triangulation coalition includes three-way relationships, meditation, favorites, speaking for others, manipulation, all that fun stuff there. And effective communication, we talked about this already, about having effective communication, but this is where communication leads to the blaming, abusive, angry, reactive, confrontational, or avoidant and passive. Now, we had another video on communication, so make sure to check that out if you're interested. Enabling. People keep things going, step in to take over responsibilities in others so that the family and or person doesn't experience the consequences of the action. This is a common one, I feel. You see a lot in this with maybe a family member that is experiencing substance usage, and there's one particular individual that may be leading to enabling that behavior. That's kind of the standard example. But other things, especially kind of financial enabling, is very apparent. So that thing obviously can really have that create that discord in the family there. The blame. So people avoid responsibility for their own actions, shifting responsibility into others. There's an instability to look at oneself and admit one wrong. Strong emotions. Reactivity is high. Some people may stuff and deny relation emotions because they can't open up about them. Abandonment. This is a big one too. Absentee family member involved knowing that they themselves are insecure because there's in and out of an individual, or someone just kind of continues to keep leaving. Can very obviously be impactful. Denial, again, kind of it's shown up here not only with just individuals but with families here. So where it's denying or minimizing the problems. Poor boundaries. Families are either enmeshed or disconnected. People don't respect the right of members to say no or to be different. Again, understandable, especially if an individual is thought of less and a person's attempting to set those boundaries, but they're not respected. Broken relationships. One of the common ways of dealing with conflict is to cut family members off. Even when a relationship isn't physically cut off, there are lots of barriers between people and intimacy is affected. Again, makes sense, especially maybe one of these other family patterns have occurred that led to kind of the broken relationships. Family pain. No one really addresses open to it. It's like the elephant in the living room. No one talks about it, but everyone takes care of it. Again, understandable for that. Inappropriate roles. Family members inappropriate roles assigned to them tends to be rigid. Examples like the responsible one, the clown, the scapegoat, the enabler, all very true there. The unspoken rules. Family has a lot of rules that guide the behavior of family members, even though they might be spoken aloud. And lastly, a big one here, generational effects. Children growing up to be adult children of dysfunctional families and carry the pain of their own relationships. The effects of sins of previous generations are passed down to the next generation because family members are affected by problems and learn dysfunctional ways of interacting in their own relationships. One of the most common ones, especially related to kind of culture, I've seen this with a few clients where the way that their culture is, especially for how they talk about mental health or how it's kind of involved, really impacts the ability for family growth. And what's interesting is a lot of these individuals here, with their seeking that support for therapeutic assistance, it's their first time. They've never done it before, and I always think it's a huge, huge step forward when someone's able to step out of that generational pattern, because you're talking about however so many decades that has occurred of how mental health is being taught or framed for an individual growing up. And this person, even if you're watching this and you're looking at this and you are making those changes, are able to break through decades, years, hundreds of what has been established for mental health. And I always, I'm in awe of that because the cards have always been stacked against, but you or whoever has been able to kind of persevere, and it takes a lot of guts to do that and a lot of determination to get to where you are to break those generational curses. So good way to help us kind of identify of what we're experiencing. And like I said, one of the best things that we could do is try to find out, especially if there is anyone in our lives here that may have, that we can define as like a functional relationship or a functional family. What does that look like for you? And compare it to kind of what you feel you need in order to achieve that. It's big. So, hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next video. Take care.